I know. I know what you're thinking. I'm no better than all these Debbie daddies who don't want to take care of their children. I understand. I have been missing in action, left like a thief in the night. Didn't tell y'all nothing. Told y'all absolutely nothing. Just up jumped the boogie and left. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I do apologize sincerely, honestly, truly. So much has happened. So I'm just going to start with where have I been? Let me tell y'all, okay? Work has been whooping every piece of me, okay? To start, I put together an event at a baseball park. And then the next week, I did an event at the Science Museum locally. And then after that, which just happened this past Thursday, I got into a car accident. I'm good. I'm good. I'm here. My car is not doing so good. Candy out of commission right now, but I'm good. I'm in one piece, and that's all I could ever ask for is to walk out of a car accident healthy, to walk at least, you know? So that is where I have been. Okay. So it was just like one week after another, after another. And although I did get into a car accident, I said, you know what? Look, life is going to keep lifing. I got to sit down and talk to my people. You know what I mean? I can't control life. I can't make things stop happening. I can't just randomly slow it down if I got an event and another event and I'm preparing for both and then I get into a car accident. Look, stuff is going to happen, but I still have to sit down and talk with you guys. So that's where I've been, just trying to keep, keep everything together. You know what I'm saying? And yeah, I'm sorry. I'm sorry I was away, but that's what it was. How have y'all been though? You know what I mean? Rude of me to think it's all about me. How have y'all been? What's been going on? Drop a comment. Let me know. How has life been treating you guys? I hope good. I hope life has been treating you good. I hope that you are enjoying life. I hope through all of its obstacles, all of its trials and tribulations, that you are still managing to wake up, thank God, and put a smile on your face. Because that's what I tried to do. Granted, I did learn recently, I do a lot. I do a lot of stress eating. I had never realized that before until this car accident, and I was laid out on my couch, not outwardly panicking, but I kept going to the kitchen. And I mean, y'all, I don't love to cook. Okay, let's be honest. I don't love to cook. I will cook, right? But it's not something that's like a love of mine. You know what I mean? And so I was just going in there. Anything I could put my hands on, I'm cooking and trying to keep myself busy. And then I was like, girl, enough. So I've realized that about myself and I'm going to work on that. If I am feeling like anxious or have all this anxiety about, just anything and stressing about work and events and doing things like that and making sure I'm at this conference and over here and over there, whatever, that I just take it easy, lay off the kitchen a little bit. You know what I'm saying? That's just me being honest with y'all. But, anyways, how are y'all doing? Everything going good? Okay, good. So now we're going to quickly jump into things because while I was away, it got crazy. So let's jump in.
That blackness, that black power, that black pushing them to identify with black culture. I think that's what you're asking. I have no.
Now, before I jump into these topics, I want to start with Happy Black History Month. Yes, 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 yes. Happy Black History Month. These are, you know, this is, I should say, one of my favorite months just because it is Black History Month. And if you don't know, I'm hella black. So I thoroughly enjoy being able to celebrate being black, learn about all of our amazing black people who have done amazing things. So I definitely had to start off before we jump into all our topics to say happy Black History Month. Yeah. And I want to make sure I got that out the way. Now, while I was away, y'all, the world was just off kilter. And I knew it was so because during that time of being away, this also just was a nightmare as well. Over here on the East Coast, we got about 18 to 20 inches of snow, depending on where you are in the East Coast. It could have varied, but I don't think anyone got under 7 to 10 inches of snow. And me, myself, I don't live and I don't park my car anywhere remotely near a garage. So I had to dig my car out. And that is a type of pain that I don't think a lot of people understand. That is a type of pain that will actually give you a mental breakdown because it's like, why? And for all of you, I prefer the summer people, y'all, my people. For all of you, when it's summer, you want it to be cold and you want it to be hot and we can't wait for hoodie season. Come to the front because this is your time to clean people's cars off. Y'all hate the sun so much. Y'all don't want to be out in the sun. Y'all hate to sweat. All of that and the third, come to the front so you can clean these cars off. Cause this is clearly your weather, right? I'm so over winter, y'all. Like it's to the point now that if it snows, I just have to mentally prepare myself to be disappointed and angry. You know, when I look out the window and there's no snow, I'm like, oh, thank God. I don't care if it's cloudy all day, but when I don't see snow, it's a good day. When I wake up and see snow, just know a mood, I won't be in it. I won't be in it. You understand what I'm saying? Now, with that being said, we have a bunch of topics to discuss. For me, something, first of all, has to be done about these slumlords. Speaking of the winter, pipes are bursting left and right. And let me tell you, like I told you guys, right? I did an event at a science museum. Pipes burst literally in like the middle when the event is like thriving. Shut down. Shut down. You know what I mean? So we have to look at these slumlords. We have to look at the conditions of these homes because now is not the time to not have somewhere to stay. Okay. It'd be -3 degrees in the middle of the day. No, we need a roof over our head. And then these politicians, oh, baby, they're just exposing themselves left and right. They don't care. It's almost as if they're like, look, we are tired of the smoke and mirrors. We are tired of the games. We are tired of pretending. Here it is. What you gonna do about it? That's where they are. And then on top of that, we have the Epstein files that came out, and quite literally, they told us everything we already knew. We just had people in the Trump administration lying to our faces. But you know what? We'll discuss further. First off, let's get into our local news. Now, with our local news, residents at a Rocky Hill, which is in Connecticut, a Rocky Hill apartment complex evacuated over unsafe conditions. The state of Connecticut Attorney General Tong, he explores legal action against management. So management meaning the property managers of this apartment complex. Now, here's my thing. I feel like I said in a previous episode, until it happens to white people or in a densely white population, people aren't concerned, right? There is no urgency to really take a look at who is owning these properties because a lot of times these properties are bought by people who don't live in the state of Connecticut. So if I'm not mistaken, please in the comments you can correct me. I think I had the article up, but I do believe the people who owned this property, they lived in California, or the property actual owners lived in California, if I'm not mistaken. And so it's just very interesting that you can buy a property in Connecticut, but then live in a whole different state. And even if it's not California, if it's like, oh yes, it is. It says they're a Los Angeles based real estate. So to me, it's like those are the type of things that need to be looked at because who's actually managing this property and how much of an investment do you have? Now, granted, I understand how real estate works, but there are people, okay, so many thoughts. Let me funnel them properly, okay? I understand how real estate works, and I understand that you can live in one place because that's where your home is, and like Monopoly, you buy across the board. I get it. But if you aren't going to visit and see about your properties, that's when I have an issue. Now, what I was trying to say, and slowing down my thoughts, because y'all know, be a mile a minute. I listen to the Joe Budden podcast. There's a gentleman on there by the name of Ish who buys real estate. He lives in New Jersey, but he buys real estate pretty much up and down the coast. So, like Virginia, I think he was in Tennessee at some point, looking for different real estate properties. I think he was even looking at or thought about in Portugal. So I understand people buying property, you know, as an investment for wealth. And I totally understand that. But the difference is in what I see and can, honor and respect in at least ish is that he visits his properties. So if there's an issue happening and, residents are complaining or something's taking place, he's going to see about his property. So if he has property in Virginia, he's going to see about his property in Virginia. If he, has property in Tennessee, hypothetically, right? He will go and see about that property. The property he has in New Jersey, he says he spends time driving around and looking at the property. And if he sees something not being done, he himself will go and do it, right? So if he goes out and he sees, like, okay, this grass is overgrown. My guys were supposed to be here last week. It's now a new week. They aren't there. He's going to get out and mow the grass, those type of things. But if you're in LA, how often are you catching a 6-hour flight to come and look at a piece of property in Rocky Hill, Connecticut? You understand what I'm saying? It's just not likely. So that is something that needs to be looked at. And then it needs to be looked at not just in densely, you know, white towns. You also need to take it to your urban areas, your, Hartford, Connecticut's, your Waterburys, your Bridgeports, your New Havens, because that is also where it's happening. People who live in these, New York sky rises are like, oh, it's how much over there in Hartford? Okay, cool. Buy the street, and they never go back to look at it. Whoever was there, they're just like, okay, yep, great, thank you. You continue to take care of the property. He's not getting any real type of money, or if he is, he's not gonna put it back into, the actual property. He's probably gonna be like, okay, cool. If they're giving me this extra money, I'm gonna go move to Florida and now rent this out. So now I'm getting that money because I'm renting out my place. Like, it's just all this sketchy business. So I think we really, 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 like, although this did happen, and I mean, hundreds of people were like without power, without hot water, all of that. I definitely think top to bottom, you need to look at this, not just focus on this one apartment, like across the board, especially in urban communities, Black communities, brown communities. You need to look at these places. I will tell y'all a story, okay? Real, 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 real quick. My first apartment, oh boy. Oh, that was a sight to see. My first apartment was so bad. And it was such a learning lesson because let me tell you guys, for anyone out there, if an apartment says all utilities included, get your words right. If it says that, like it's just all inclusive, avoid it at all costs. Unless the rent is like mortgage type rent. Other than that, like 2,500, 1,800, 26, 27. If it's not up to that, just avoid it. Just avoid it. When I say that was the slums of the slums, now on the outset, right? Like if you're just walking in and like doing a quick little tour, the apartment looks great. It's not until you move in that you realize, oh, this is the ghetto. A white fridge. Oh, this is the ghetto. Woo. This is the ghetto, babes. No, thank you. No, ma'am. I'm good. If you caught that reference, we here. But yeah, no. So I just feel like let's look at the bigger picture and not just focus on one apartment and be outraged by one apartment. This is a real big issue. And this is why people living conditions are so terrible because you have people who are like multimillionaires just picking and choosing and buying anything just to say they have it and don't care about the people who actually live there, which is so unfortunate, especially in times like today where you're getting 18 inches of snow, it's -3 outside, and you walk into your place still expected to pay rent. Never forget that. And there's no heat, no hot water, no electricity. Like, excuse me? Absolutely not. Now, our next topic, I told y'all the people are exposing themselves. So, a Connecticut House Speaker calls out a Republican over wearing a jacket. Now, the jacket was bedazzled, and on the back it said "Ice In." What does that mean? Remember, at the I want to say Oscars, all the celebrities were wearing pins that said "Ice Out." So she took it upon herself, according to this article with I think it was NBC Connecticut. She said it was in response to Governor Ned Lamont, who was basically like, ICE, don't even come around these parts. We keeping people safe, we keeping people protected, right? Anyways, she wore this jacket during an emergency fund discussion. And this person was Representative Cara Pavalak Diamato out of Bristol. So she wore this iced out, literally iced, blinged out, I should say, just to clarify, blinged out ice in jacket during this big House Speaker, discussion. Now, what was so interesting about this is because to me, people do things for attention, and it's like you can just sit down and tell us who you are. You don't have to do this gesture or put clothing on to tell us, right? Use your mouthpiece. Understand? Use your mouthpiece. And it's the same thing with the celebrities. Everyone wants to wear pins, but no one wants to speak. Speak. Use your words. Put it down on wax. You understand what I'm saying? I don't understand why we need to decorate ourselves when we can use our words. If you felt so strongly about what Governor Ned Lamont said, then speak out. Send a letter to the press. Guess what they're going to do? They're going to publish your letter and you can say what you want to say. You can have them come, see you somewhere, stand outside somewhere and speak to your feelings about that. I think that's the best thing to do as opposed to doing this. Like, but you know what? With all that being said, right? Continue to expose yourselves. Continue, because we the people, as it says in the Constitution, we the people, we should know who y'all are. We should know who y'all are. We should know how y'all feel. So please continue to expose yourselves. And on that note, we're going to jump into our last local news topic. This one was very interesting because I'm going to kind of combine it with another story, but I feel like this is something that's happening across the board, right? So, Governor Ned Lamont proposes a cell phone ban and free breakfast, which would cost upwards of 12 million for all Connecticut students. Now, here's the thing. There are already towns, I think we spoke about this before. There are already towns and cities in Connecticut who are, who've decided to ban cell phones, who got the little pouches that like magnetically close this, that, and the third. I totally understand. Free breakfast, I get it. They say, I should say, right? They say it's the most important meal of the day. The kids need it. I totally understand. It will cost 12 million. Where is that going to come from? We think about taxing us. You listen. Never mind. You know what? No, fuck it, I'ma say it. You already spend so much money on all of these SNAP benefits and these EBTs and all of these different things, and still need to be taxed now to prov it's just so much that they put on the people to just put free in front of something. And that's my issue with Democrats. It's always they wanna put free in front of something, free healthcare, free breakfast for kids, free that everything needs to be free without an actual plan to how to fund it besides taxing just the like I said, the low income people. You're scared to tax the rich, but you'll tax us so we can have free breakfast. You know what I mean? Like, what's the sustainability in this? I don't know. I would love to hear about it because to me, I don't know. Now, there was a Republican who would go, now, mind you, okay, follow my train of thought here, right? Now, remember, I told you guys, um, this woman wore this jacket, ice, and because Governor Ned Lamont had came out and said all this, in response to Trump, right? So there was a Republican who also had some words, and he said, essentially, Governor Ned Lamont needs to look to play nice with Trump because if he doesn't, we know Trump is going to cut off federal funding. He's like, is it worth him cutting off the federal funding? Listen, honest question, right? Because if you need federal funding, if you want to do this 12 million, you're probably going to need federal funding, right? Like you're going to want federal programs to keep happening, and if you're not looking to play nice and go and meet with him and be chummy and like Mom Donnie did, you may not agree with every thing Trump is talking about, but at least play nice so he's not, because either way it's lose lose. But like, what's the greater loss? And I think that's what this Republican was arguing, and I agree. You're proposing things for more money, and where are you going to find this from? You're going to go ask the federal government. Do you know what Trump is going to do? He's going to give you his whole orange ass to kiss. That's what he's going to do. He might spread his cheeks. You know what I'm saying? So I do understand the sentiment of play nice with Trump. Now, that doesn't mean you agree. That doesn't mean that you disregard your own beliefs and morals and values, but you have to be able to play the game of politics, especially if you're going to want things done for your state. So I don't know. I think Ned Lamont has to tread real lightly because especially if you know people who work for the federal government, people who are on these like, federal grants and things like that. Trump get the slicing and dicing and it's all over because you didn't want to play nice. Now, granted, do we want to see what happened in Minnesota happening here in Connecticut? No, of course not. But we also don't want to see hundreds and thousands of people out of work because Trump decided, oh, y'all didn't want to comply, cut their budgeting. So we have to you gotta play that dance, especially in the world of politics. Now, with that said, let's get into our headlines. All right, you guys. Epstein, the elite pedophiles. Now, see, I'm not gonna say PDF because I'm not gonna sugarcoat it. These is pedophiles, okay? And that just is what it is. And sometimes you gotta call a thing a thing. You start trying to sugarcoat it and make it sound cute and all that, and it just doesn't have the same effect. You need to call a thing a thing. They're pedophiles. Period. Now, I read a post on Threads because Instagram does this amazing thing where no matter what, they will always tell you you have a notification. And so, because I have a Threads account, I try to claim my name on as many platforms as I can. I have a Threads account, right? So, I click on this thread account thing and it says the elites are the puppets of the real elites. Essentially, I'm paraphrasing, but that is very, very true. Now, when I say that, what I mean is we think celebrities, right? And when we say celebrities, we're like, those are the elites. Those are the ones that, are the upper echelon. They're you know what I mean? They're the creme de la creme. They're the top of the top. And that there is not true. Those are puppets. Those are people willing to play the game of Hollywood, willing to, unlike, like a Governor Ned Lamont and a few other people, willing to really play that deep and gross game, because they are then run by the elites. And the elites at the top of the top, that's not a large group, it's I think it's just a small group of people. And when I say group of people, I really mean a small group of men, um, who come together and they each run a different facet. And I think certain people work their way up to be close to an elite, but they're not the elite. And it's kind of like when I think about it, right? And I think about the elites, I think about names or families like Rockefeller, Rothschild, Vanderbilt. You know what I mean? Like you have these elites who then run what we deem to be elites, but they're just celebrities, they're just actors, they're just, you know what I mean, actresses and people like that. They're not the elites. Now, with that being said, there is an elite ring of pedophiles, and I think Jeffrey Epstein was a part of that. And I think these emails did reveal that. Now, did I go through the emails? No, because to be honest, with this whole Trump administration, I'm exhausted. I'm exhausted of it all. I will not lie to you. There's a reason why I spoke about Nicki Minaj once. I spoke about MAGA Minaj one time and one time only. I'm done with the girl. You know what I mean? I'm done with the girl. Like I said, keep exposing yourself and letting us know who you are and what you are about. I love it. This was a whole part where we needed the truth to come out, and I appreciate that it is. Now, this whole Jeffrey Epstein thing, I think a lot of it has to heavily do with sex trafficking. And I don't know why people, specifically in the Trump administration, Pam Bondi, Cash Patel, you know, they're ignoring, um and also, to be honest, JD Vance has been quite quiet, but they're ignoring the big thing in the room, right? Like everyone's talking about the elephant in the room and they're coming out and they're like, "W- well, guys, so," and it's like, no, 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 address the thing. Address the thing. And what's interesting about this, I think, sometimes when people engage in a certain behavior and they engage in real nasty, dirty, foul, disgusting things, they try to put it on other people to deflect and to kind of separate themselves from what themselves are doing. Here is an example or multiple. If you get out of line, right? As one of the elite's puppets, as a puppet, if you get out of line, what is the first thing they do? They throw a sex crime on you. Once you get out of line, they throw a sex crime on you. And it's very weird that that's their real like main tactic is to throw a sex crime on you. The only way that it makes sense, if you have read or heard about these emails and seen how people are discussing them and what's in them, you're like, "Oh, you're so versed in this because you are this. You are doing things with sex trafficking and with kids and with young girls and modeling agencies and all of this. Oh, okay. That's why it's so easy for you to drum up this narrative and to drum up this, what's the word? Evidence, because you are what you label somebody. This is projection, right, at its finest. So you have the Michael Jacksons and the Diddies and the, even I would say Harvey, what is it, Harvey Weinstein, where it's like, don't get too far out of what we told you who you could and what you could be, because then we're just gonna put these sex crimes on you. Sorry. Oops. You know what I mean? And I think, you know, there are a lot of names that are in this, and some people are like, "Well, I didn't really know him. It was just da 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 da." And okay, cool, that's fine. But here's the other part that's really annoying, because not only is it sex trafficking, but they're trying to deny it. And I did watch a documentary on Pizzagate, and that whole situation and how everyone said it was a conspiracy, and it's a conspiracy. And that's the problem. When anything is getting close to the truth, they holler and scream conspiracy. Every single time they're gonna holler and scream it's conspiracy and that person's a cuckoo nut. Every single time. But what I'm not understanding, and here is where I don't know. You guys help me out with this. I really don't know. There's so much stress and emphasis, especially in the articles you read and when Pam Bondi speaks and when Cash Patel speaks, there's so much emphasis on there's no client list. There's no client list. And I have a problem with that. Now, I have a problem with that because if you're looking at someone's correspondence, meaning their texts, emails, phone calls, direct messages, what have you, right? You're looking at their communications with whoever. If you see a high interaction and an engagement, and you see these numbers are pretty high, that means that person was important to Jeffrey Epstein. Here is an example, right? If you were to pull my call log and you saw that I had 55 in the last year, 2 years, I had 55,000 calls to one person. You would put that person down and write their number down. And then you might go and say, oh, they have 45,000 to this person. And you would put that number down. And so forth and so on. Do you know what that creates? That creates a fucking list. So no, you may not have a little black book of each name who did what and who did what, like he was a fucking madam. Like, but you can tell by the number of interactions who was important to this man and who needed him for what. Now, I would say it's speculation that they say pizza was referenced 900 or something, astronomical in these files. Who said what how many times? That is how we create lists. If you see that he's always interacting with this person, and their interactions always kind of lead the same, in the same, they have X amount of photos together. Well, that person should probably be on the VIP what list. So don't give me this, there's no client list. We can use our critical thinking skills. We can use our common sense, although I am painfully realizing it is not that common, like in real time. Like for real, that's not just a saying. People really don't have common sense. Because if you were to just list out the people who interacted with Jeffrey Epstein the most, you might have a client list. So please stop trying to be so just playing with us, right? Like come on. Come on. We don't need it. And then the other thing that I wanted to touch on, Candace Owens, if you watched her, not her last episode, I think it was the episode before last. She had mentioned an email, she put it up on screen where they had spoke about Emmanuel Macron, who is the president of France, and it said like they got pictures of Emmanuel Macron's boyfriend, the hypocrisy. And I'm like, it's so funny. Again, remember when she was saying that it's okay, Emmanuel, people are accepting gay people and you don't have to pretend and hide, yada, yada, yada. Everyone was like, he's not gay. He's married to a woman. Candace is crazy. And then the emails come out. Remember, it was a conspiracy, right? It's a conspiracy. She's crazy. They're going to sue her. And then it comes out in an email that they saw photos of him with his boyfriend. And Candace, so poignantly said, whoa, yeah, he's gay. He's married to a man. And there are times like that where sometimes, I said the world is off kilter. Those are the times where it feels like the world is just trying to balance itself back out, because if you have all this evidence that points to a thing being a duck, and then you have someone call it a duck, you can then not say, oh, you conspiracy theorists, you don't have proof. Well, let me just lay out again how all these things point to this being a duck, and I call it a duck. And eventually the duck quacks. It was a fucking duck. You know what I mean? I just really want us to understand they're playing they're playing what they assume to be mind games, but it's just like slowly falling apart. And I'll leave that right there. Now, with that being said, I'm just going to roll right into it. I'm just going to roll right into it. I don't know how much longer I could put it off. Trump, Big T, Donnie, bring it here. Bring it here, please. Talk to me. Talk to me. What's going on? Huh? What's going on? I'm I'm at a loss. Here's the thing. I'm not too sure why you would decide to post the Obamas in that very derogatory way. I'm not too sure. Now, if you want to say you're the least racist president there was, that's interesting. That's interesting. But I'm confused as to why you would just post it to begin with. These two incredible people have been nothing but gracious to you. And I'm not understanding why you feel the need to continue to be just nasty. I don't quite get it. Now, here's my other issue, Don. Once you're called out, your team, I'm guessing the people around you, they delete the post. They come out with it was a staff member. Okay. Any other time they love that it's you posting this, right? They're so thrilled and excited that it's you. Now it was a staff member. Okay. Now back when you was beefing with I mean, you still probably beefing with him, but when you and Gavin Newsom was going back on TikTok, I told y'all, get out them streets, get out them TikTok streets, get off the Instagram, stop trying to be this trendy, cute shit because stuff like this is gonna happen and you're gonna go too fucking far and people are gonna realize, oh, you're really that. Oh, you're really that. People on both sides said, Donnie, is you cool? Like, is everything good? What's going on? Because we are struggling to understand what the fuck was the point. What was the point? And then to be called out, right? And then say, well, I'm not going to apologize. Excuse me? Not only did y'all offer some lame ass excuse, now you're saying you're not going to apologize? Now you're supposed to be the leader of this country. And as the leader, if we know anything, maybe you should go to like a supervisory training. Y'all got HR over there? Because if you are the leader, you should know as a leader if, right, giving you the benefit of the doubt because maybe in some off chance, now's the first time that you aren't actually posting from your Truth Social. Sure. You as a leader, you're supposed to come out and take that bullet. You're supposed to take that hit because you are the leader. If someone on your team does something fucked up, you take the hit. That's the point of being the leader, right? To to whom much is given, you understand what I'm saying? You wear the crown. So yes, heavy is the head. So you, my dear Don, would need to take that bullet, but you didn't want to. And see, that's where the issue is. The issue is in the doubling down. And I told you, Don, I said, you got to stop doubling down. It's not a good look. It's not a good look. You, sir, may believe that it's speaking to a base. You've already lost them. Yikes. You've already lost them. You did. I hate to be the one to tell you, but you have quite literally already lost them. And here's the thing, you've done so much damage that when it comes time for your people, the Republicans, to decide who they want to run next, and they got to start doing their campaign trails and they got to start going out and, getting in people's faces and trying to have this positive, perception with the country, and they're seeing, who's favorable. You've fucked it up. Like, you've just straight fucked it up. And it is what it is. And that's why I said the next president, I mean, by a landslide, is just gonna have to be a Democrat. You know what I mean? Because you've quite literally fucked it up. Because you have shown us what a bad leader looks like. Even something as simple as this. Now, was it very, very, bad? Yeah, it was. Yeah, you know what I mean? But we don't have to sit here and discuss how bad it was and why it was wrong. We know. We know. And then in Black History Month, like, is you cool down? Like, you know what I'm saying? You talked a lot about Joe, Sleepy Joe, but like, you all right over there? Because I'm not understanding. And this isn't the man that previously stood on business, stood on his policies. You out here just acting a fool. And for what? I can't quite understand what the goal is. Do you just feel that invincible because you got, I can't even say his name, but y'all know that man over there in that country who really rule you because you're puppeteer, your puppet master, because he got you feeling all swollen in the chest like you just that, you know what I mean? Is that why I'm just at a loss? And here's the other thing. For all you people who are still in support of this man, who still have reasons as to why this wasn't that bad and believe the excuse, I'll pray for you. Sincerely, I'll pray for you because no, no. The post was something that was totally uncalled for, did not make sense, came out of left field. Again, in Black History Month, like, Don, is you cool? What's going on? And then, if y'all feel the need to be in defense of this, please, please, no, spare the entire country and shut the fuck up. It's just that simple. Now, what I will say and what I have been saying in closing, people are revealing themselves in ways they have never revealed themselves. Donald Trump has shown his hand time and time again, and each time it gets a little more blatant. He just does a little more things so that everything is just out there and in the open. Sometimes I think he does things in order to cause a distraction, in order to get us off focus. And I think that's when we have to pay attention just that much more. We can't get so emotional that we lose sight of what he's trying to do or what is taking place or what articles, right? Because when that happened, you get a flood and a swarm of articles. But what were we supposed to be paying attention to? Because that's where our eyes have to go back to. Because if we get distracted here because he showed us who he always was, then what did we just turn away from? You understand what I'm saying? We have got to start paying attention and not be so easily distracted because we know what this is and who he is. You understand what I'm saying? I'm very, very pleased and thankful that we got to see this. So I hope in, upcoming elections and in, primaries, and whether it's your midterm, your, local elections, I always say we understand who and what and why we are voting and really look at it. You understand? Because I truthfully believe, again, I really believe this. This is what I'm going to leave on. If we had had Kamala in office, I think in another 4 years, we would have been right back to the nonsense, and I think now we're at a place where Americans aren't for it. Like, we just aren't for it anymore. And I don't think they're going to be allowed to continue to get away with this because so many people are like, now hold up, and I definitely, definitely appreciate that. And I don't think we would have gotten that under a Kamala Harris administration. I just don't. I truthfully don't. I think sometimes you have to hit rock bottom. You have to see all the dirt and the games and the trickery that's happening in order to say, okay, I don't want to participate in that. And I want to participate in something that's different and something that's better. And that just is what it is. So, with that being said, thank you guys so much for tuning in to another episode of Black and Classic Podcast, where we talk all things politics and pop culture. Please do not forget to share this video, like, comment, subscribe, tell a friend to tell a friend, leave a comment for sure, because again, as always, I love to hear your guys' thoughts, but I will not debate you. This is not a debate channel, okay? So please believe us going back and forth is not happening. But I do respect all respectful comments. And with that being said, talk to you guys next week. Bye.